Good afternoon, and today we're going to talk about how martial art was invented. My name is Master Batiste. I am the Tai Chi instructor at Riverside Fitness and Wellness in Gloucester, Virginia. Martial art was invented in the Shaolin province. Now the Shaolin province is a small county like Gloucester is in Virginia. It was invented because there were these priests that lived in a temple deep in the forest. And they were doing what priests do, which is they were meditating and they were praying just about every hour of the day. And because they were doing this, their bodies began to deteriorate. Word got out, and there was this guy, his name was Bowdy Dama, and he was from Pakistan. He taught these priests how to exercise by using the movements of 5 animals. There was the tiger, the leopard, the crane, the snake, and the mythical animal, the dragon. And over a period of time, the priest's conditioning began to be resurrected. They got back in shape. And as they were making the journey to and from the market, which was an all-day event in those times, they found themselves being attacked by thugs. They began to use their exercise to protect themselves. And that's how Kung Fu began to be recognized as a personal safety mechanism. By the way, the term Kung Fu has nothing to do with fighting. Nowadays, when people think about Kung Fu, they instantly envision people fending off attack and being able to take on 2 and 3 opponents, much because of Bruce Lee and some of the movies. But the word Kung Fu means disciplined action of the mind and body. So someone like LeBron James would be Kung Fu in basketball, or a doctor would be Kung Fu in medicine, for example. It's not until you put the word Wushu behind it, which transitions the word into fighting skill. So it is now disciplined action of the mind and body as it relates to fighting. So over a period of time, the natives began to get wind of what was happening, and they literally begged their way into lessons. That's right, begged, because they didn't have much money to speak of, and there were no police to be around, and soldiers were assigned to protecting royalty. And so they had to prove that they were worthy of lessons. Once they got approved, they started to learn the skill and effectively be able to defend themselves. Now, the kings, the emperors got threatened by this because they were always concerned with some kind of uprising. So what they did was they burned down the monastery. And in the process of doing that, several of the priests got on ships and they went to neighboring countries. Some wound up in Japan. Some went to Korea. Some went to Okinawa, and others found themselves in Thailand. And when they got there, they began to do what they needed to do to earn income, which was train the natives. Because of the difference in the body makeup, because of the difference in anatomy, they started to modify the exercise. Now the Japanese call their exercise karate, empty hand, or karate. The Koreans named their exercise taekwondo, or foot and hand method. The Okinawans named their exercise judo, judo, or soft way. And that was the establishment of the four major exercises: Kung Fu, Taekwondo, Judo, and Karate. That's how it was established. Now, over a period of time, the authorities got comfortable and they began to take national pride in their particular exercise. And they began to incorporate the teachings of it to their military. And that is where the term martial art was invented. Martial means military, and art means way. For example, if a town goes under martial law, the military moves over and acts like police officers. Okay? So during the 50s, American soldiers after the war began to learn this skill set, and they brought it back to America. Now, because they were teaching this exercise in the military, it morphed into more of a self-defense mechanism, which was more concerned with life-threatening situations than exercise. And it was infused with the necessary element to develop super soldiers. And that element was discipline. Think about it. Just because you know an exercise does not mean that you have the mental fortitude to stand strong under attack. But once you have discipline, you now have the mental state of mind to do so. So the soldiers, when they came back to America, they began to teach the skill set to the citizens, and it was well received. And unfortunately, it went through very bad marketing. It was marketed as a superior fighting skill, and although it was, the emphasis was on sheer survival. So practitioners would go to the studio and they'd walk away with black eyes, broken noses, knocked out teeth, gnarled hands, bruised ribs, and on and on. So over a period of time, adults just simply said, enough is enough, I'm not doing that anymore. So the industry almost went under. It was resurrected when instructors got the idea to market towards children with discipline, confidence, self-esteem, good grades, etc. And then it was given a new life. So now, when you think about martial arts, most people immediately envision children doing it. When you ask an adult whether or not they would like to do it, it's totally hands-off. They've had enough. They don't even want to consider going into a martial art because most don't understand or care that it was the world's first formal exercise. Now, I want to put an emphasis on formal because martial arts was the first exercise to have its participants move in an orchestrated manner with everybody doing the exact same thing at the exact same time. Now we've become very comfortable with the process. You see aerobics instructors doing that all the time. He or she, depending on what they're trying to do, will design a program which will bring about cardiovascular efficiency, endurance, coordination, weight loss, etc. In the martial arts, they had the pattern, and the pattern did the same thing. It toned and strengthened the legs, it brought about cardiovascular efficiency, improved endurance, developed coordination. The byproduct was that you could use the moves for personal safety. And an additional byproduct was that the martial art was used as a book of information. In those days, the practitioners were mostly illiterate, and so they couldn't write down what they were doing, and they could not use a camera or video to tape it. So what they did was they invented these patterns, and once you taught someone a pattern, they can then travel miles away, dissect the pattern, and teach it to other people. Each belt level had a pattern. And so by the time you got to the level of black belt, which normally takes about 8 levels of practice or 8 belts, you had 8 patterns. So you were a literal walking encyclopedia. And that is the history and origin of martial art. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and tune in for more videos.